So you've applied for permanent residence under spousal sponsorship, and now you're wondering if you can apply for open work permit as well while you wait for your spousal sponsorship application to finish processing. And there's a lot of confusion around the open work permit eligibility. So let's work together to clear that confusion out. So throughout this video, we'll work under the assumption that you've already sent your spousal sponsorship application. And within that, we are going to take a look at two cases. First, you're an Outland applicant, meaning applied from outside Canada under family class spousal sponsorship. And second, you're an inland applicant, meaning applied under spouse or common law partner in Canada class. And for both cases, we'll try to find out if you're eligible to apply for open work permit while you wait for your PR application to finish processing. And by the way, I'm not going to talk about the actual application process and documents and forms that you must submit. This video is just to clear the confusion that spousal sponsorship applicants have who have already sent the application for permanent residence but now want to apply for open work permit. So we'll try to use IRCC's online tools and questionnaires to determine the eligibility for open work permit for both cases. So let's begin. So let's assume you're an applicant and you've already applied for spousal sponsorship under family class, meaning Outland application, where the applicant is outside of Canada and the sponsor, who could be a PR or citizen, is inside of Canada. That is an Outland application. And now you're wondering if you can apply for open work permit also while you wait for your application to finish processing. So here's the short and straight answer. At this point, as of September 2022, you cannot do that. Once you send your spousal sponsorship application outside of Canada, then you just have to wait for your application to finish processing. Once it does, then you can come to Canada as a PR and you can find work and start working. You don't have to worry about open work permit anymore. So let's get deeper and let me explain this to you. So you're going to get to this page. I'm going to link it in the description below. It's a help center page about who can apply for open work permit. So if you fall under any of these categories, then you may be eligible to apply for open work permit. And there are categories about international students or spouses of international students or temporary workers, but we are not going to talk about those. We are specifically interested in this category, applied for permanent residence in Canada. So notice how it says applied for permanent residence in Canada. So this is a broader category. It doesn't really talk about spousal sponsorship or whatever kind of permanent residence you've done. But as long as you have applied for permanent residence in Canada, then you may be eligible to apply for open work permit. There is no category for applied for permanent residence outside Canada, in which the spousal sponsorship family class application falls. So this should be your first clue that as a spousal sponsorship applicant who's applied from outside Canada, you're not really eligible to apply for open work permit as of now. And IRCC can update these categories in the future. So it's always advisable to come back to this page, this who can apply for open work permit page, and make sure that the category that you're trying to apply under is listed here. Okay, but let's go deeper and try to exactly find out about spousal sponsorship. So what you'll do is you'll click on answer a few questions. And this is where it's going to take you to an online tool where you can put your answers, and based on that, it's going to determine if you're eligible to apply or not. So I'm going to click on find out what you need. This is where you'll select I am the main principal applicant, because you are going to be applying for open work permit, or I should say you want to apply for open work permit for yourself. So that makes you a principal applicant. Then you'll hit next. And are you a Ukraine national? So just for the purpose of this video, stick with no. And then it gives you an option to choose from these categories. So you'll choose I applied or will apply for permanent residence very soon, because that's the category that we are discussing, that you've already applied for Outland permanent residence sponsorship. So this is what you'll select. So now that you select this, it gives you another list to choose from. So ignore the ones here because that's not what we are talking about. But the first two talk about permanent residence. So first one is in Canada and applied for permanent residence in a program under Express Entry. So again, it's about inside of Canada, and we're not really talking about Express Entry, but this also makes you eligible to apply for open work permit. But if you look at the second category, being sponsored under the spouse or common law partner in Canada class, meaning you've been sponsored through spousal sponsorship inside of Canada. That's the spouse or common law partner in Canada class. If it was outside Canada, it would say family class. So you don't see an option of family class here again, and this is your second clue that as an Outland applicant for spousal sponsorship who's outside of Canada, you cannot apply for open work permit. Your category is just not here. Now let's assume you are outside of Canada, meaning the principal applicant is outside of Canada, but your spouse is a student or temporary worker in Canada, then that makes you eligible for a spouse open work permit from outside of Canada. So I've shared the entire process of how you can apply for a spouse open work permit in this case, in this video that should be showing up on the cards here, and it's linked in the description below. So definitely check that out if you fall under this case. But for spousal sponsorship Outland applicants, open work permit is not an option as of now. Keep checking the link and maybe it becomes an option down the line. Let's look at the next one. So you must have already guessed it by now. If you are inside Canada, let's say on a temporary visa, and you've sent your spousal sponsorship application already under the spouse or common law partner in Canada class, then that makes you eligible to apply for an open work permit. So let me show you where you can apply. So you're going to get to this page. This is the same help center page that we looked at. Who can apply for open work permit and apply for permanent residence in Canada is already here. So we are going to answer a few questions and get to our eligibility just to be certain that you can apply. So you'll click on find out what you need. I am the main or principal applicant, Ukraine national for the purpose of this video. Let's say no. Next, I applied or will apply for permanent residence very soon. Okay. And then you'll select being sponsored under the spouse or common law partner in Canada class. So even if you've sent the application, this is the option that you'll select and it gives you the eligibility. So it says you can apply for an open work permit. Alright, so now that you know that you can apply, you can keep following this chain of instructions that they have here and it will lead you to where you can actually apply for an open work permit. So I'm going to click on how to apply for this work permit. So it's going to take you to this help center page and it says I'm sponsoring my spouse or common law partner who is in Canada. Can they work while their application is being processed? So this is from the perspective of the sponsor and it says yes, but only if they have a work permit, and that's where you'll apply for a work permit. So if you scroll down, there are two options given here. Your spouse or partner hasn't applied for permanent residence yet, meaning that they are still on the visitor visa, they have not really sent the application, and your spouse or partner already applied, meaning you have sent the application. So if you click here, then there's two options: if they mail the permanent resident application or if they apply online. So as far as mailing the application is concerned, it talks about putting the sponsorship, permanent residence and open work permit applications into one envelope and then sending the envelope to the case processing center. But as of September 23rd, 2022, I believe it was a Friday, the permanent residence spousal sponsorship application has completely switched to the online portal. So this mailing in the application packet is not really going to be of much use. Okay. So let's ignore this. Then if they apply online for permanent residence, so you can apply online if you have not already applied. So then it tells you that in most cases your spouse or partner will mail the application from inside Canada and then while they test a new tool. So they've already tested the new tool, it's working and it's gone live. And now that is the only way to apply for permanent residence. So this option is again also of not our concern. So we look at this option, your spouse or partner already applied. So if you click here, it says that once they receive, meaning the principal applicant receives the acknowledgement of receipt, then they can apply for open work permit. This means that once you send your spouse or common law partner in Canada class spousal sponsorship application, then you wait until you receive the acknowledgement of receipt, meaning you pass stage 1. And then once you receive the AOR, you can apply for open work permit online. Alright, so if you scroll up, and you click on how to apply for work permit, let's keep following the chain of instructions. It will take you to the page where you can apply. So I'm going to click this and open in a new tab. And under how to apply, I'm going to make this selection inside Canada. And then do any of these situations apply to you. So we are going to find out our situation, which is this one. You're waiting on a decision on an application for permanent residence for the in Canada class, which is the spouse or common law partner in Canada, or temporary resident permit. So we are not concerned with this. So yes, this applies to you, meaning you are one of these categories. So you'll select yes, Ukraine national. So for the purpose of this video, let's just avoid that. Do you have a post-graduation work permit that has expired? So let's assume you're only on a visitor visa. Your spouse is a permanent resident or citizen and they are sponsoring you from inside Canada. So you don't have a work permit, you're just on a visitor visa. So you select no. And then it gives you the option to apply online. So there is an instruction guide. I'll just open this and we'll get to this in a second. But if you scroll down, create an account or sign in. This is where it basically takes you to your MyCIC account or your GCK account. This is where you will apply for your open work permit while you wait for your in Canada class spousal sponsorship application to finish processing. So you're just going to sign in with your GC key. If you don't have an account yet, you should definitely register because this is where you will apply for your open work permit. So once you sign into your GC key account, you'll scroll down and click on apply to come to Canada. And this is where it asks you for a personal reference code. So because you don't have it, just select the work permit application here. And then you'll answer a few questions based on which they will further determine your eligibility. So this is another tool inside the MyCIC account that you can use to determine your eligibility for open work permit. So let's try to get through this real quick. So what would you like to do in Canada? And I'm going to select work because you're applying for work permit. How long are you planning to stay? So let's say temporarily more than 6 months. Select the code that matches the one on your passport. Let's go with India. So IND. What is your current country of residence? So you are in Canada right now. So I'm going to select Canada. Do you have a family member who's a citizen or PR? Yes, you are being sponsored by someone like that. So we are going to select yes. Then just hypothetical date of birth real quick. Are you a lawful permanent resident of US? For the purpose of this video, let's just assume no. What is your current immigration status? So let's say you are on a visitor visa in Canada right now and you've already sent your spousal sponsorship application. Then you have to answer a few more questions to determine your eligibility. So this option, I applied for permanent residence and was found eligible, first stage approval. So this is the option that applies to us. So we are going to select yes. Then are you a spouse, common law partner or dependent child of a person who's a work permit holder, study permit, temporary resident permit or has applied for PR and was determined to be eligible or is subject for removal? So this doesn't apply to the principal applicant. So just select no. Then it asks if the principal applicant belongs to any of these categories. Just for the purpose of this video, select no, just to make it easy and hit next. What's your marital status? Obviously married. Then province of destination, let's stick with Ontario. And it gives you this result that based on the information you provided, you may be eligible to work in Canada with an open work permit. So if you had selected any other choice that is not really acceptable for open work permit inside Canada, when you've already sent the spousal sponsorship application, this tool will tell you that you're not eligible. So again, MyCIC is where you find this tool, answer a few questions and determine your eligibility. So now that you are determined to be eligible, then you are just going to click on continue and answer a few more questions, and then this tool is going to give you a personalized document checklist, basically a list of all the documents and forms that you'll submit. So this video is not really going to be about the documents and forms, but I still want to show you how to get there. So let's click on continue and then answer a few questions here. So are you accompanying a family member who has status in Canada? Let's just assume no, you are the only principal applicant, so hit next. When does your status expire? So let's say your visitor visa is valid for 6 months. So I'm just going to push this to 6 months in the future and select that date. Then have you had a medical exam within the last 12 months? So let's just select yes in this case. It doesn't really make much difference. You may have to give the medical exam anyway. Do you want to submit an application for a family member? No, this is just an application for you. So hit next. Are you giving access to your application to someone? So just for the purpose of this video, keep it simple, select no. In the past 10 years, have you given your fingerprints? So I'm assuming that if you came to Canada on a tourist visa, you must have given your fingerprints. So let's just tick yes so that you don't have to give it again. Then there are fees associated. Yes, I'll be paying. Are you able to make a digital copy? Yes. Will you be paying? Yes. Online. And then basically you just have to review your answers and then hit continue. And then it gives you the instructions on how to provide these documents. So now if you hit continue, you'll be taken to this portal where you can actually submit your documents for open work permit. So this is your document checklist and all the documents and forms that are required for you to submit are right here. So apart from this, remember I told you about this guide for open work permit. So let me show you that guide real quick. So this guide 5553 is for applicants who are applying for open work permit from inside Canada. So go through this guide. It's going to give you detailed instructions on any other document or any other form that you may have to provide along with these documents that are already listed here. So if you scroll down and go towards the forms section, so here is a list of forms that they ask of you, and depending on what applies to you, you'll provide that. But there is also this document checklist 5556. So make sure you download this document checklist. This is what it's going to look like. And from this list, you will select all the forms and documents that apply to you. So a lot of options in this document checklist won't apply to you. For example, if you're a student, if you're a provincial nominee, or if you're a spouse or common law partner of an open work permit holder or a skilled worker. So these options won't apply to you. So only select the options that apply to you from this checklist and then submit this checklist along with the other documents and forms that are mentioned here. Okay, so I'll try to cover up the actual application process for open work permit from inside Canada in a later video, but this video was just to clear the confusion about eligibility of open work permit when you've already sent the application. And by the way, if you have sent the spousal sponsorship application and let's say you want to inquire about your status, or IRCC has requested additional documents from you and you're wondering how to provide that, then I share all that in this video that should be showing up on the cards here, and it's linked in the description below. I'll catch you there. Bye-bye.